Hello my Minecrafting guys, gals and non-binary pals. This time we're up with another ranking video, and in this one we're doing the top 10 Daleks. This was suggested by Monsieur Professor Person from our last video where we ranked all the Dalek mod planets. Please check that out. I'll leave a link in the description or at the end of the video. Yes, so I had to do top 10 and not ranking from worst to best, unfortunately, because there's like 50 odd models, and if I wanted to go in the same detail I want to do, because I want to actually express why I like them so much, it would take hours, and that's not appetizing at all. So instead I decided let's do my top 10, because that way all the Daleks I like are my favourite, and it makes a relatively easy to digest video you can put in the background. Also, I want to say I'm sorry, but there are no non-canonical Daleks. So unfortunately, no Cushing Daleks, no pink fluffy Daleks, or rainbow Daleks, or top hat Daleks, or anything like that. I know that's annoying, and I actually love some of the designs. I think they're so great, but they have to not be on this list, because I want to make one of the points screen accuracy, because I actually want to talk about the show's version of the Daleks too, along with the Dalek models in the Dalek mod. So I'm very sorry, but that's just what I'm doing. I will just say though, there are a lot of Daleks I do love that are sort of not on this list, and I think they're all great, but unfortunately they can't be on. I'm sorry, but that's how I'm doing it. But never mind that, let's see what I think are the top 10 Daleks, so let's go onto the list. In 10th place is the 2008 Supreme Dalek in red. Now, when this Dalek first sort of arrived, I was already sort of in love. The design of it is so amazing, because it's a regular looking sort of Dalek, but with with changes that don't make it so drastically different to the other versions, like the third light for when the Dalek speaks, and for the accents on each side of the Dalek on the sort of grating area, and the translation from it into the Dalek mod, because I'm talking about the models, is exquisite. It is just the perfect definition of that Dalek in the Dalek mod in Minecraft, and it is brilliant. They've got the eye stalk right on point with the right colours. I just think it's a great looking design. If I could change one thing about it, it would probably be, well, I'm not a big fan of massively coloured Daleks, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Paradigm Daleks got toned down and just weren't very successful at all. But this Dalek worked being red, because it was also slightly weathered. It had that sort of look that a lot of the RTD Time War Daleks had. It was a bit sort of blackened, like it was sort of had soot on it in a way, because that makes it seem, it means you can use great colours, but it also means it doesn't look so tacky and camp. And that's why this one is so great. But the model itself is brilliant anyway, so I love it, and that's why it's in 10th place. 9th place, the 2005 RTD or Time War Daleks. I'm kind of broken putting this Dalek down, because it's the Dalek I grew up with, and I think everybody who really watches this channel grew up with, because it is the Dalek, the definitive Dalek, like used in the show still today, even though I think it's remodeled, but whatever, that's not the point. This Dalek looks amazing. The weathering, the slight sort of texture, doesn't just look like one bright bronze Dalek or gold Dalek. It actually looks nice, and the coloration between each pixel is magnificent. The side gratings, where sort of the plunger and the Dalek gunstick are great, and there's not really much to say about this. I think it's so high, like 9th place, because it's got a soft spot in my heart. Like I said, it's very opinionated lists like these, but I just love this Dalek. It's just brilliant, and it had to be on this list, because I just think that I don't think Doctor Who would ever have succeeded without this Dalek. I think this Dalek is such a brilliant model. It all looks great, and the coloration is just perfect, and that's why it's here. In 8th place is the 2012 Skaro Dalek. Now, I want to first say, I was so drawn between doing this one and like the original Skaro Dalek from 1964 or 1963, but long story facts and whatnot. But I had to pick this one because I just love the blue accent around the centerpiece. It just works for me. I don't think sometimes changing a massive colour accent works all the time, but this time it really does, and I love it. I much prefer it to the traditional Skaro Dalek. But I think this is supposed to be maybe the same, but with different, because it was put into colour. I'm not sure, but I just think this works really well. I think it's a big improvement on the classic Skaro Dalek. Plus, I like it how it has the two side panels instead of having those grays, like let's say the Time War Dalek have and the Renegade Daleks have. I think it just works, and it's here for that reason. So yeah, what more can I say? It's a brilliant model. I think it's quite screen accurate to the Dalek we saw in the Series 9 opener, the Magician's Apprentice, that comes over the hill to capture Missy and Clara. And I just think it's a great model. And yeah, that's my reasoning for putting it here. 7th place, the Ironside B Dalek version. Now, I thought the other Ironside one I didn't like that much. But this one is on a whole new level. It's all down to the bags. The modelling on that bag, just on doing that, on the amount of detail on each section of it, is breathtaking. Seriously, the attention to detail on it is superb. I think it's such a cool looking Dalek. I love it much more than the other one, like I said. But also, this one is highly screen accurate to the Victory of the Daleks, Ironside Dalek. That is why it is so good and so high up on this list. It is just brilliant, and I really like it. And just I can look around that centre section for days. Just the amount of detail that went into it. I would say if I could change anything about it, I would maybe sort of. It's quite hard to distinguish a lot of things because I know it's one plain sort of green, dark green sort of armory colour. But, you know, one can only hope that it makes a bit more distinction. But I'd really actually maybe in the end of it change nothing about this Dalek. The amount of detail that's gone into it is just breathtaking. So yeah, a very well deserved 7th place. 6th place, the Imperial Daleks. Now, there is a lot of love and hate when it comes to these Daleks. But I think that overall the Dalek itself is a great design. It's very distinct. It's only used once, which is a good thing. And more importantly, it was great because it distinct itself from the grey Daleks that most people were used to back in that time. But we're not here to talk about the story. We're here to talk about the model in the game. It's brilliant. I think it's exactly what the Dalek mod was great for. Now, I get a lot I wasn't very happy with the whole golden plunger, but that is what it looks like in the show, so screen accuracy points. But another thing that isn't screen accurate is that in the story they were very sort of dimmed down, like a bit dusty, but that was due to budgetary. I'm pretty sure, like it was like they didn't look amazingly clean. They looked a bit shabby in places. But this is the perfect impersonation of what the Imperial Daleks were supposed to look like, I think, in my opinion. And for that, I cannot downgrade it. This is brilliant. This is exactly what the Imperial Daleks were meant to be, and they brought it into the game, so it has to be this high. So yeah, that's my reasoning. If I could change anything, I suppose if I was making my own custom Imperial Dalek, I'd change that plunger. I just don't like it. It just seems like a good colour scheme, yes, but don't change something like that. But can't complain. An amazing model. It deserves 6th place. 5th place, the Asylum classic Emperor's Guard Dalek. God, that's a mouthful. I don't think I even got that right. I love this animation. It's the same. I'm using NC manipulators with this, but it still keeps the animation. The eye stalk animation is amazing. It's so good. I think all the Asylum Daleks are very good, and I would group them together, but I think all of them are so unique and like in their way, and that's why they're like all great. But this one has to be on the list and is better than the other ones, I think, by a long shot. The eye stalk movement is so good. And also, I'm a massive fan of the Emperor Dalek. It looks like they took a already great looking Dalek and they added like the cool animation, and they took a few rounds of it. It's amazing on so many levels, and it has to be this high. I don't know if this was ever in the sort of episode, but this is what would have been in the episode if there was like more detail in a sense. But there was, I'm sure this was somewhere in it, but the animation on the head just makes it this high, and that's why it's such a great model. And yeah, I think this is probably the coolest thing to entity manipulate when it comes to Daleks, because it keeps the animation. But yeah, it's mainly up here for the animation and just how good and screen accurate it is. So yes, well deserved. That's why it's here. On to number 4. Number 4, the Special Weapons Dalek. Now, come on, did you really expect this not to be on the list? The first very, very, very different looking Dalek ever in the show, and an amazing model rendering of it, had to be on this list. It's so good. I understand I said earlier that the Imperial Daleks were supposed to be more pristine and shiny, but this being a bit more faded is brilliant because it makes sense. It's a very powerful Dalek. It sees a lot of damage and battle because it's supposed to be for sort of heavy artillery, I assume, and it just looks great. Plus, in the game, oh my god, the Special Weapons Dalek is proper dangerous with explosives. I genuinely love going across these Daleks and trying to fight them, just not trying to get blown up, and it is hilarious. Like, I once created sort of like a guard of Special Weapons Dalek, and that was just massive, like, sort of explosions, and it blew up my little defense, but that's besides the point. The model is amazing. The features it does in the game, even more amazing. I think this is probably the best the Special Weapons Dalek is, and I genuinely would not change it for a second. Everything on it is perfect, it's also its greatest pro for me is also its greatest con. It's a cool Dalek, but it couldn't be number 1 because it doesn't fit the amazing Dalek design. But it's so high on this list because it is amazing. So yeah, great Dalek, great design, amazing SWD team. Please do more Dalek rendering and cool Dalek features like blowing up on other Daleks, because this is brilliant. On a side note, I love the Time War Special Weapons Dalek. I know it's technically not canonical, but I wish that was, because this would probably be in its place, because whatever. The point is, I love the Special Weapons Dalek, but I think this model is amazing, and I'm sure it's a shame we couldn't have the Time War model too. In third place is the Big Finish Time Controller Dalek. Oh my god, I absolutely love this Dalek. It has the exact same thing and features about the 2008 Supreme I love, which is it's a different Dalek. Like it took the regular Pepperpot design and spruced it up to make it something completely different. Talking about the 2008 Supreme, I'm not a massive fan of the Time Strategist, which is like that with the Outer Rings. I think it looks clunky, but this looks perfect, supreme, and just amazing. Also, the combination of like it being in the mod with the rings is fabulous, because normally you would have expected something like that, and especially with a claustrophobic game like Minecraft that works on maybe cubes, when the whole idea of this Dalek is more circular, wouldn't work, but it does, and it looks so cool and free-flowing. The eye stalk is a tiny bit bigger, like it works on sort of more of a 4-pixel display than the regular sort of like 9-ish like most Daleks have. And it looks great. I think it looks amazing. My favourite thing, though, besides the rings, of course, is the colour scheme. So I hate colourful Daleks most of the time, but this looks phenomenal. A dark purple is perfect because it sort of keeps that nice campiness of Doctor Who, but it also sort of adds in that darkness and scariness to the time controller Dalek. Plus, the color scheme works terrific. I normally thought that a three accent Dalek wouldn't work because most of it's two, or one, like the gold, like the bronze Dalek from the Time Wars, mainly bronze, and the original Skyro Daleks is silver and the light blue, but this works three. The dark grey egg sort of has in the lower section looks phenomenal, and the silver really brings out the top. So honestly, amazing design. And what's more importantly, it was translated into the Dalek mod when it didn't really have to be, but the way they did it was amazing. So yeah, great job. Number 2, the 73 Supreme Dalek, or the 1973 Supreme Dalek. I bet not many people are going to like this, but I don't care. This Dalek I already loved in the show so much, but it looks even more amazing on the Dalek mod. It's brilliant. It looks like the Supreme Dalek we all know and love from that era. And what's more, I was kind of scared when I heard this Dalek might be added, because although I love all the Dalek designs, one thing that is quite similar about them is the eye stalk. It's normally very much the same, each one, same sort of coloration and same sort of spacing between pixels. But this one, they were like, nah, we're going proper. We're actually adding the proper massive flashlight looking eye stalk, and because they did, it's high up. I love the eye stalk on this Dalek, and I love how they put it in the game. It's so good. And I think that the colouring between the gold is the right type of coloration of that kind, and the black contrasts so good with it. It just has to be this high. I love the purple. They kept the purple lights on the top when they speak. I know for a Supreme Dalek it may be a bit too coloury and a bit too just cheap sci-fi camp 70s, but that's the point of Doctor Who. And because this is such an amazingly screen accurate version of the Supreme Dalek, which I love, it deserves to be this high. I'm just mainly in love with the eye stalk. I'm so happy they went that way with it, and it looks phenomenal. I'm not sure how it looks in the dark, but if it lights up I think like the Supreme one did occasionally, it would be even greater, but I'm not sure. I haven't tested it out. Overall, I'm pretty sure it's the same sort of health as every other Dalek, but when I come and look across one, I'm so happy. And although this Dalek is truly amazing, it's not as amazing as number 1 in this spot. Number 1, the Resolution Dalek. Right, please, before you kill me saying, no, this isn't the right Dalek to be number 1. I'll explain why it's number 1. Okay, first off, the Resolution Dalek, I believe in the show, was like the first sort of robotic Dalek, so it was a lot more thin in a sense, and it could do things that other Daleks before it couldn't. But more importantly, most of the Daleks in the Dalek mod are fairly similar, similar build, because most Daleks look the exact same. But with the Resolution Dalek, it's so much more different. And what's brilliant about the model is that the amount of detail in it, the amount of curving, how much more thin, and which spots where it was much more flat and like a little joystick. I'm not really explaining it well, but the point is, this Dalek, because it was so unique in the show, it's very unique in the Dalek mod, but more importantly, it looks much more amazing in the Dalek mod. You actually genuinely feel like this is the Resolution Dalek. Is what exactly I love in the Dalek mod, is that it shows us what the Dalek is supposed to be, that sometimes the BBC can't create due to budgetary reasons. And I love the Resolution Dalek design. It is magnificent. The eye stalk, it looks so much better than most eye stalks, it's more circular. The plunger, where the plunger is supposed to be that little claw thing, is phenomenal. The design on that, the amount of little intricate notches it must have had in it are amazing. The base of the Dalek is all great. They have the right amount of roundels, because this one only has 3 roundels, I believe, on most of it. So it looks perfect, especially with the sizes and the differentiation of the sizes from the other versions of the roundels. Not roundels, I mean, the little egg things. As for the middle section, the little grooves and indents and everything looks all amazingly perfect and exactly like it does in the show. And the headpiece, along with that little grate where sometimes, which used to light up in the show, looks phenomenal. Oh my god, this Dalek is so good. I could go on and on, but it's up here for its amazing screen accuracy. I think it's the most screen accurate Dalek in the Dalek mod, for just how unique it is, and for just the attention to detail. It is by far the most intricate and attention to detail Dalek there is. I believe it was designed by that Rhino guy, and if so, well done. This is an amazing Dalek and by far my favourite. Even if it's not my favourite in the show, this in the Dalek mod looks phenomenal. So thank you. And that's it. That's all the Daleks. Please like and subscribe and comment if you want. Also, if you want me to do another ranking video, like, I am taking genuine suggestions. I mean, if I don't get any here in the comments, I'll ask on Discord. But if you want a ranking video, just put it down in the comments and I'll make one as fast as I can for next week, okay? Because I'm trying to do these weekly. So between episodes of Renegade Chronicles, these will be coming weekly, so that means we get 2 videos per week, which I think is a pretty good thing. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.